It's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we are back for the handicap analysis, and there are quite a few horses this week. Primarily, I think they're going to be aimed at the Cheltenham Festival. There's actually one race that looks like it's going to be really, really hot this year, from runners that have all competed in it before. And then obviously we're going to get the new horses to the race that are going to be, right up there at the head of the market as well. I think JP could have a real good hand in that race. I think he's got, it's the plate I'm on about. I think he's got the current favourite in Jaguar anyway. Then he's got the likes of Kbil, Inexcus Do, Johnny Who. There's a few others as well that he could run. I think he's got a massive chance in that race, to be honest, JP McManus. It'll be really interesting to see which of those actually run. So let's go through our handicap analysis for the week. We're starting off with No Ordinary Joe. Now, he went up to 3 mile for a hurdle race. It didn't work. That's not a surprise. Dropped a pound. Back down to a mark of 138. Now, for me, he simply can't be ignored at the Cheltenham Festival. I thought his effort last year was actually a very, very good effort. Let's just load up last year's. Behind what I think are very nice horses in the likes of Answer to Cave, who was a good winner recently over fences once he'd gone handicapping. Kai de Bourbon, Waterford Whispers, Better Days Ahead. They've all done well. A Casa de Mott will. It'll just needs a handicap as well. No Ordinary Joe ran 7th that day. Travelled nicely. You can see he went 5.2, so just over 4-1 in the run. I think it was a really good Martin Pipe. Even the year before, it was a good one. Iroko won it. Buddy 1 was 3rd. Mai Tai was 4th. Imagine 5th. I think that was another really good Martin Pipe. No Ordinary Joe finished 2nd and 7th off marks of 139 and 140. So he would actually come into it this year off his lowest mark. Of 138. Surely he's going to run another very good race. Is this the time that they get it right and he wins? He's going to be there or thereabouts, I'm sure. No Ordinary Joe. So definitely one to keep an eye out for, particularly in that Martin Pipe. Second horse we want to talk about, I've mentioned him very briefly a minute ago. Inexcus Do has dropped a pound to 138 when running over the wrong trip. Over the wrong trip and over hurdles. And yet his handicap mark over fences moves. It's a really clever ploy from JP McManus. He certainly knows, I feel sometimes, how to manipulate the handicap marks. Dropped a pound to 138. That means he's only a pound higher than when he was 5th in the plate last year, when really eye-catching. Never got close enough, soon enough. Looked like he was going to finish way out the back. Ran on really strongly for 5th. And did frank that, or go and demonstrate that that wasn't a fluke the next time by then winning in April over the same course and distance at Cheltenham. So he's only a pound higher than when he ran a really good 5th. Again, I feel like he's going to be there or thereabouts. He was quite lightly raced and unexposed and inexperienced coming into it last year as well. He's got a bit more experience now. I think he's one that we definitely have to keep an eye out for. That's Inexcus Do in the plate. But is that the first or the second one? That's the first one in the plate that I've just mentioned. We've got a few more that are going to come up as well. Moving on to another JP horse, Petit Tonnerre, gone up £5 to 130. Now, I don't normally put horses in this analysis that have gone up. However, I really like Petit Tonnerre. I think he's a really good horse. Just wants 2.5 mile. And I feel the way the race was run, it fell apart in front of him at Doncaster because they went so hard up front. He picked up the pieces and was winning that race. Now, when he goes up in trip, I feel that there's lots more to come from him. I feel he's a 140 plus horse and he's only rated 130. He's not one for the plate. He's one for the Topham. They don't quite go as fast in the Topham over the national fences. He's not a bad jumper. That jumping's not really been his issue. He just never seems to be able to keep involved in the race at a crucial time. Whereas the way the Grand National races are run, he should be able to. He could sit himself in 5th or 6th and just plod round with them and hopefully demonstrate how well a handicap he is towards the end of the race. I really like the Topham for Petit Tonnerre, to be honest. Next horse we're going to mention is In the Waterside, who's gone up £2 to 140. Now, this is interesting because this is collateral form. We highlighted the horse when he went up £6 to 138 and said, I don't think that's anywhere near enough. And was suggesting this 3 mile novices handicap chase. Where is it? Here it is. This 3 mile novices handicap chase on the 8th of February. The handicapper now partly agrees that we were right. £6 wasn't enough. He's now giving him another 2. Up £8. I still think there's more to come from him though. So even off 140, I'd be disappointed if he didn't go very close in this race at Newbury. Fugitive. This is one of those for the plate. This is the second of 4 from just this video. Fugitive. Why do I like Fugitive? Well, last year he was running in the Ryanair. Was never going to be good enough for the Ryanair, in my opinion. He is a top class handicapper, but he's not good enough for Ryanair company. This season, his form has been okay. He finished 5th at Cheltenham in a Paddy Power Gold Cup of 152. The winner that day, Iridoto, was running off a low 141. He then went back to Cheltenham in December, and he ran okay. He finished 3rd behind Gemeron. Venetia Williams' horses were banging form, and the unexposed and potentially very well handicapped Madara. I thought Fugitive was given plenty to do that day, and I'm sure they were quite pleased when he got dropped. Did he get dropped £1? I think he got dropped. Yes, he did. He got dropped £1 to 149 for that run, finishing 3rd. He's now been dropped again. Another £1 to 148, just on collateral form. I'm sure Connections will be delighted with that. They can come back for the plate. They ran in it a couple of years ago. They finished 2nd off 149. He's now running off 148. The 3rd placed horse that day, Shake 'em Up Harry, went on to win next year. So he won it in 2024. Fugitive would have a massive chance if given a strong ride, and I feel he would be. I feel that in December they weren't going for it. They were just seeing if they could get his mark dropped slightly. They did. He's now spot on for the plate. Problem is, as I've mentioned, the plate looks very hot. Kbil, down £2 to 140. Bizarrely, he's running off 100. He could run off 140, having run in it last year off a mark of 140. Now, since then, if we have a look, this was his second race, the second here. He then went up to 3 mile, didn't stay. He then ran over hurdles, you could ignore that, and then he ran over 2 mile. His last 3 runs have not been in races that actually suit him. The race that suits is a 2.5 mile handicap chase. He's not done that since. Kbil's being laid out for that race, isn't he? And yeah, if he jumps better than he did last year, he was very slow at quite a few of the fences and still ran a great race for 2nd. I think he will take. I think he'll go off. He'll go off single figures, won't he? And he'll run a huge race. And I've actually made a tweet at the end of this handicap analysis thread of all the prices for these horses. You can get 25s about most of them, and Kbil's 12s. I think Kbil goes off. He went off 7-2 last year. Why would he not go off around about that this year, off the same mark, having been laid out for the race? Very interesting. He's one that you could definitely be getting involved in now. To be honest, all of them. I'm sure all of them. I'm not. I think one of them is a danger to not turn up. The others, I'm pretty confident will. Pretty confident Inexcus Do will, despite having Kbil, because then they have 2 chances. Pretty sure Fugitive will. Pretty sure Kbil will. Pretty sure Zanahiyr will. Ginny's Destiny, who we're going to come on to later, might not, and I'll explain why then. But yeah, Kbil back for that plate. Surely going to run a really nice race again. Next horse that caught my eye is Sunbury, who's dropped £2 to 136 after disappointing at Windsor. Now, they tried different tactics at Windsor. They tried holding him up. It didn't work. So that £2 is quite kind, because he's ran a race that didn't suit, and yet the handicapper dropped him £2. I kind of feel sometimes the handicapper should be able to use his discretion and go, it was different tactics, that's why it didn't work. We're living on the same mark. But, you know, maybe dropping down like that was, you know, holding him up was the plan. I really like him. I still think Sunbury, there's still lots more to come from him. It could well be that we don't see him until he comes back for the Red Rum Handicap Chase at Aintree, which he was a very impressive winner. He beat Saint Ouen quite comfortably, and Saint Ouen did come out and win after that. Path de Roux's come out and won since then, franking that form. and demonstrating that it was a very good effort from Sunbury. He does have this entry at Sandown. I really like To Deit for that race. I think the form, his last time out run when second was very good effort. So Sunbury is definitely one that I'll be watching this weekend. I hope they might run him and drop him out and get him well beat again and drop another couple of pound, aiming for a return for the Aintree race. Ginny's Destiny dropped £3 for his run at Cheltenham in January. It's a Paul Nicholls horse in January running poorly. That does happen quite a lot because they all have their flu jabs, and maybe Ginny's Destiny just had that. And maybe Paul Nicholls is planning this really well with him. This time last year, the horse was running in the, March of last year. He was ending up running in the Turner's Novices Chase, finishing second behind Grey Dawning, in front of Jello, in front of Zanahir, in front of Iroko, in front of Colonel Harry and Facile Vega, and, graded horses. He could end up back in that plate off a low handicap mark. He's only rated 149 now. That would be low considering he was rated 155 at the beginning of the season. He went off favourite for the Paddy Power of 155. He went off joint favourite for the handicap at the weekend of 152. He would run off 149. He's got to have a massive chance in that plate if they go there. That would be the only concern, is maybe Paul goes, there's something wrong with him. I don't think there is. I don't think there is, and I do wonder whether this has just been very clever planning this year. After it went wrong at the beginning of the season, they then went, right, all our attention is returning to the plate, and we're not interested in any races up to that point. Paul probably does need a winner or two at the Cheltenham Festival to really keep his name in the limelight. What have I got here? Let's just have a look. As I said about Ginny's Destiny, he's gone off favourite twice in his last 3 runs. 100 to 30 in a grade 2. Granted, that was a grade 2, so it was always going to be tough against Jello and Protectorat. You look at his 2 handicap runs, he's gone off... Well, let's look at all of his handicap runs. He went off 9 to 2 for a handicap in October 23. He went off 100 to 30 in a handicap in November 23. He then went to Cheltenham in January, went off 4 to 1 favourite. Beginning of the season, he went off 3 to 1 favourite, and then last time out, he went off 7 to 2 favourite. You're now going to be able to get 25 to 1 about him for the plate. Suddenly so he's gone off 9 to 2, 100 to 30, 4 to 1, 3 to 1, 7 to 2, all single figures, or obviously 100 to 30 is not a single figure, but it's less than, what did I say? I didn't mean 130, 9 to 2, even that's single figures, 4.5, all single figures. Four handicaps, and yet he's currently 25 to 1 for the handicap at the Cheltenham Festival, off lower marks than his last 2 occasions that he's running it. That's kind of value, in my opinion. All about if he runs. I think he will, though. I think they will give him an excuse as to why he runs so poorly. 2 to go. These 2 are old-timers that I wonder whether they've been nicely handicapped. The first one is Third Time Lucky, who I do believe is nicely handicapped. Just needs to be ridden differently. He ran his best race at the beginning of the season when he finished second behind Matata. Now, Matata's up £13 since then, and Third Time Lucky is down £11. So if they actually ran against each other, it'd be getting 20 odd pound better off. Now, Matata is going to end up in the Champion Chase, I'm sure, and not in a handicap. The last couple of occasions, Third Time Lucky's been given different rides. Last time out, 2 runs ago, he was quite prominent. And then last time out, he went forward. Now, he doesn't want that. He wants to be dropped out. I really believe that. When he won at Sandown back in February 2023, held up in rear, headway after 4 out. He wants to be kept out the back and work his way through. Even at Cheltenham, when he finished 4th in the Grand Annual a good few years ago now, he was slightly too prominent, in my opinion. he kind of pulled himself into contention when they were initially trying to hold him out the back. I think that was what they wanted to do, and that would have worked. Now, I don't feel he's a Cheltenham horse. You know, he's definitely not demonstrating the form to be running in the Grand Annual. I say that, listen to the next horse. But I definitely feel there's a race for him, and it's this 2 mile handicap here. It's 0 to 135 handicap at Sandown. As I said, he's been to Sandown before, and he's won off a mark of 143. He beat Fast Bucks quite comfortably off 143. They were well clear of the rest, including Frere Bombu and Dolos in the Virgin Bet Dolos handicap chase. So third time lucky, has Sandown form. He's also been there once before for the Henry VIII Novices Chase. He was third behind Edwardstone and Warlord. He went off favourite that day in a Grade 1. Go back to Sandown, pick up this handicap, and then see what you can do with him towards the end of the season. I think he just needs to be weighted with rather than going forwards. And the final horse that I want to talk about is To Deit. Now, it could just be he's gone. It could be he's no longer anywhere near his level. Running in those graded races last year didn't help him, and he's lost all form and all ability, and he's got to drop significantly in the weights before he gets involved. That said, he actually has dropped significantly in the weights. This time last year, he went to... I say this time last year, in April of last year, he went for the Grade 1 celebration chase at Sandown. He was rated 161 that day. He's now rated 140, 21 pounds lower this year, because his form isn't working. His runs aren't working. That said, both of his last 2 runs at Kempton and Windsor, he's gone too hard at the front. Freddie Mitchell and Niall Houlihan have got it wrong on him at the front. So they've got to work out how to get him to win. Now, either they're deliberately going too hard at the front and they want him to drop significantly in the weights, or he almost needs to be given we're not going to go for it from the front, even if we're going to go forward, but if something comes alongside us, we're going to let them go on it and try and sit behind. He could be very, very well handicapped. He's finished 4th in a Grand Annual back here in 2022. Okay, quite a few years ago now. When he was finishing 4th, that was off a mark of 153. He's rated 140. He'll get in that Grand Annual off 140. He'll be right near the bottom of the handicap this time instead of trying to lump round 11 stone 9 like he did. He's one that if he bounced back, there'd be uproar, because why has he suddenly shown his form? And they can say, well, it was back at Cheltenham over the correct trip, because last time he ran at Cheltenham it was over 2.5. That wasn't ever going to suit. He doesn't want 2.5. He's definitely interesting me in the Grand Annual. He would be one that if he turned up on the day off a mark of 140 and he's 50 to 1 for it, he's one that I'll be like, yeah, I'll have a little bit on him, because I think he's either going to bounce back or that'll be it. And I'm happy to have a bet on him on the one occasion and see what you can get out of it. Yeah, just keep an eye out for To Deit bouncing back at the Cheltenham Festival off a very low handicap mark for him. So just a quick recap, but one thing I've mentioned is that I really like that festival plate. I think there are quite a few in it that have massive chances. They are Inexcus Do, who's currently available at 25 to 1. I like Fugitive, who's currently available at 25 to 1. Kbil, who's available at 12s, but that's not a bad price considering the prices he's gone off in previous handicaps, including the plate when he went off 7 to 2 last year. Ginny's Destiny, gone off favourite for the last 3 handicaps he's running at Cheltenham. Finished 2nd in a Grade 1 last year. He's currently available at 25 to 1. And finally, the one who isn't in this video, but was in my Cheltenham analysis video, Zanahiyr is currently 25 to 1 as well. Does come from that same race as Ginny's Destiny, as we can see here. Ginny's Destiny was 2nd, Zanahiyr was 4th. I mean, that form looks strong, though, when they drop into handicap company. So yeah, there's a few thoughts from the handicap analysis and maybe some bets for the Cheltenham Festival.